we are live here via YouTube and Twitter and Facebook simultaneously this time for the first time ever. And it is the Talent Spotlight podcast with Raju live here with our special guest, Jen. Is it Suzep? Is that how you pronounce it? Or
Seep. Seep is how
Suzep?
you pronounce it.
Suzep, yeah. And you okay for me to call you Jen?
Jen is fine. It's much easier to pronounce.
Right. And whereabouts are you now? I think I've forgotten exactly where you are.
I'm in Arizona, United States.
United
So,
States, yeah.
yep.
Yeah, I was supposed to have another guest from the United States, but she's stuck in a state at the moment. Yeah, her name is Casey, and she's stuck. I was supposed to have a live interview with her last Saturday. She's stuck in a state at the moment. She's trying to get back home, so hopefully everything goes okay with her and her husband. She goes back safely, and then she'll email me, and we go live with her. She's a book author, so hopefully everything goes okay with her soon. Yeah, so she's from the States, and so I can see there's a lot of stuff. Just so it is, Jen. So basically, you've done a lot of stuff. Obviously, I've checked. Obviously, what you've emailed me, whether it's tarot reading, writing, and your books are available on Amazon. And obviously, you have done stuff like belly dancing as well. And yes, so you've done a lot of stuff. You covered a lot of different. These are all different areas. So first of all, obviously you've learned. If we start off with tarot reading, because that's something which, like I spoke to yourself off the air regarding tarot reading, is something which has always interested me because it helps a lot of people. Tarot reading, it gives them what would you say? It gives them more positive. It
I
improves.
feel like it opens you up to different concepts and different ideas. And if you need kind of a little insight or counseling, I look at it that way too. I don't do doom and gloom readings. There's always something positive in somebody's
Absolutely.
reading somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely agree with what you're saying because at the end of the day, if somebody asked me something when I was doing face to face, and somebody asked me something which I knew was doom and gloom, I would say to them, I wouldn't give them those answers because my objective was always what I got told when I learned it online from this tarot course, from this tarot reader woman, was to don't tell them anything which is very very negative and that kind of stuff, and you just tell them positive stuff, and tell them stuff which is going to help them, and obviously give them accurate as much information as you can and stuff like that. So you've done tarot reading like you were telling me off the air for 20 years, but what I mean, before you learned it, what made you go into it?
So I guess professionally speaking, I've been doing it off and on for 20 years, but I
Yeah.
learned the tarot from my grandmother. She was a tarot reader. She could read the cards. She actually
Oh,
would read with a Rider-Waite tarot deck, traditional deck, and also she could do the same thing with a standard deck of playing cards. I don't know if a lot of people are aware that the standard deck of playing cards comes from the tarot. It
right.
is, yeah, the only one of the major arcana cards to exist still in a playing card deck is the Joker, which was the Fool. And the suits have kind of changed a little bit, but and the court cards, just a few changes. But yeah, she would read from standard deck of playing cards, and I would do the same thing. But I think I was probably 16 or 17 and got my first sort of tarot reading job uh, doing on a phone psychic network, if that gives you any idea of my age. Like, phone psychics aren't really so much a thing anymore. I feel like it's not as big a thing, but it was a big deal back in the early 90s, mid 90s. So yeah, and then after that, when I came out to Arizona, I would do it off and on, and I've been working kind of consistently with it for a while.
Yeah. So what do you mean when you're saying about the psychic readings? You're referring to more like the telephone lines and stuff. Telephone, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I used to do it as well via the telephones. Yeah, absolutely. So I used to do it for this person who started this company. I used to do it over the phone. Uh, for a lot of days, I used to do it, and yeah, it was good. It was different. It was good, and you used to get some interesting people on the lines.
Yeah,
Uh,
interesting people on the line.
yeah, I remember getting someone who was this painter as well, and it was very interesting. Yeah, uh, and she was telling me about her paintings and stuff. So it was very interesting to do that over the lines and stuff. I think in the UK there are still a lot of lines going on with tarot and these kind of lines going on at the moment. On there, I didn't want to do it for too long on the lines, to be honest.
Yeah, I didn't
I
last very
wanted to do
long.
I wanted to do my own stuff. I wanted to be my own boss when it came to the tarot readings, like true, because when you do the lines, it's like you're on a kind of a, even though you're logging into systems and stuff, you're still basically working for someone.
Yeah, you're logging into their system
Yeah,
and their
exactly,
phone lines, and yeah, I was like, no, this isn't for me. And the hours were kind of crazy, so I was like, I'm
exactly,
gonna do something
exactly.
different. So I like festivals, I like parties, things like that. I'd prefer to be face to face with people. I do readings online as well. I will, video conference with people if they want to do a reading from anywhere in the world. So
Yeah,
it's all
wow.
good that way.
Absolutely that's a good option. Video conferencing is another option. I think probably 10 years ago it probably wasn't at
No.
that time, because I can't remember it being at that time video conferencing. But I think I definitely would have done it when I started off. When I was doing tarot reading, I would have definitely done that, because that's a very good option to do that. I think now, especially with what's happening at the moment with the COVID-19,
Yeah.
there's so much face to face you do. The thing is, if I was doing tarot reading, I don't think I'd be able to do it face to face still, because I think it would be like, oh my god, who's got the COVID-19, who's not got it. You know what I mean. It's still that situation at the moment. Especially, I don't know how is it down there, where you are. Is it
Where I'm at in Arizona, it's still kind of a little iffy. I did do a festival last month
right?
out in public, and everybody wore masks. Everybody was super
That was
compliant
good.
about that. So, it can work. And I
Yeah,
feel like, you just, and obviously, when you do tarot readings anyway, there's the hygiene of you wash your hands after you do a reading to kind of break off their energy. So, hygiene is hygiene. You wash your hands, you make sure, and that's just common practice anyway. So, it worked out.
absolutely.
I enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Oh, definitely. As long as people are following the norms, that's a good thing. Because obviously they're keeping themselves safe, and they're keeping yourself, the tarot reader, and they're keeping everyone else safe, which is the main
Yeah.
thing. Then obviously it allows you to continue with confidence
Yes.
at stuff like that on there. So you've done so. So you learned it from me, like you were saying briefly. You learned it from your grandmother. She was doing it. Did she do it for a long time?
Well, she mostly did for family. She kind of just, that was how she counseled family and how she
Right.
connected with situations going on in the family. She never did it. She never was professionally involved in it. I think part of it is because she came over to the United States from Belgium, and there was always kind of a little bit of a language barrier. So
Right.
I think that, like, that she didn't really feel comfortable talking to people who she didn't know for long periods of time. She would slip back into French, and it was, you know, I think that was part of it too. But yeah, for family
Yeah.
members and stuff, she absolutely all the time.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, that's still good. That's still good. That is, she was doing it for family and stuff, and it is um, it is something which is good. If you can do it, and you're helping people, including your family, your friends, that uh, it is a nice thing. And I remember one of my friends obviously went into targeting and did it for some years. A friend of mine, and I told them some stuff about tarot reading, and then they picked it up, and they've done a really good job in doing their readings as well now. So it is a really good thing on there. So you've done it for 20 years, and is there anything which is you would say what would be the highlight for you in it? I mean, what gives you the most satisfaction as well, and a highlight on
You
this?
know, interestingly, it's not so much the doing the readings. I've started teaching classes on how to do tarot for other people. I have some
Right.
videos up on YouTube there. I kind of break down the symbolism in the cards and research all of that kind of stuff. And I do a weekly, I call it a tarot cafe, where we talk a little bit about tarot and learn some things. And so it's teaching other people how to do it. Really, that's the big thing for me, because I like giving other people that power. It's very empowering to go, okay, well, I need some insight, I need to focus on something. What card can I draw? What can I draw some energy from? That kind of thing. I like giving people that knowledge, just sharing that knowledge with others. So that's the big thing for me now, is teaching the tarot.
Just responding to a comment by one of the watchers on Facebook, Rajni Agarwal, who was saying a hello. So just replying back to him, saying thanks for watching on there. So it's nice because this is the first time I have connected to Facebook Live on there, trying to. Yeah, I've never been good at Facebook posting stuff. You see, so this is something new for me as well now. This is something a new experience for myself. Now the so you've done the classes. That's a great thing because when you're doing classes, and that's something I wanted to do when I was in the tarot um, area. I mean, tarot is classed as I was always told tarot is classed as entertainment. It's an entertainment area. It's part of the entertainment area because you have to say it's entertainment purposes and that kind of disclaimers and whatever. And when
Yeah, I think the way I look at it is more like counseling. So when you go to somebody for any kind of counseling or discussion or anything like that, therapy, you connect with the person, but at the same time, they don't really know everything about your life. They don't know you 100%. They can give you advice, they can guide you, but yeah, ultimately it's what you take out of it. It's not somebody who's going to tell you how to live your life. I wouldn't
exactly,
go into it that way and go, yeah, this is absolute truth and this and that. But I don't look at anything as kind of the absolute truth. Most religions I think of as counseling and therapy as well. So that's just my take on it.
yeah, absolutely. It is one of the things, isn't it? I mean, you can't. It's like saying if somebody's not into tarot reading, it's hard to make them into a believer into tarot reading. Because obviously each to their own. Some people will like it, some people are not gonna like it, and some people may get a reading without telling their partner. Okay, you know what I mean? And they might
Yeah.
say the partner might not be that into it, and they will be into it. But regarding your customers, are they more women or the more guys?
I've got a pretty even amount. I've when I go out to events and things like that, it's pretty 50-50. I think I've got maybe a few more women who want to learn, but
Yeah.
the the readings themselves are men and women both, and pretty much all ages. I've had younger people as well as people who are, in their 60s, 70s. So age,
Wow.
gender, I don't think it really matters too much as far as like who gets the
Probably
readings.
it probably is more even Steven in the USA then because in the UK, some people obviously watching this can't tell me or correct me if I'm wrong here. But what I've seen in those 10 years when I did tarot reading, most of my customers were women. Uh, that's over even over the phone and even on face to face or even when they used to ring me, it used to be majority used to be women. and I think in the UK, uh, more women are into tarot reading to get a reading, and than guys. To be honest, I mean, I think I did have I've had one or two guys asking about tarot readings, but not many, far in between. Not many, to be honest. Uh, but I think more in the UK, it seems to be women are more into it in the UK to me. uh, on the and I think so. I think maybe it's in the USA the scope is bigger in tarot reading, and and that's the reason why the genders are both are into it, which is good, which is a good thing. But I think in the UK, I think it's a little bit different. I think it looks like it's a bit different here. On the it may change, and more guys might get into it. Tarot reading, you never know.
Yeah, I think it's kind of the same thing as like counseling and therapy and stuff. Because of that, it's like you kind of have to tell people your feelings, you have to open up about things. Guys aren't always as keen on that, I feel like, as
Exactly.
women
That's
are.
true. They're not. They're not. They're not. On the absolutely, it is, isn't it? I think that's true as well. I think women are probably more easily be able to express themselves, able to open up very quick, easily. Guys are more hesitant in that area. I think it's probably something which has been happening for years, to be honest. So I don't think it's something which is going to change that quickly. But yeah, it's just one of those things, I guess. On there, so you've done it for 20 years. You're still doing it now.
Hmm.
So are you still enjoying it as much as you were doing it from the beginning? Is it the same kind of?
Yeah, I enjoy it. I think I enjoy it the same because I have changed how I approach it. So again, when I was younger, I did for friends. It was kind of, just for kicks kind of thing. As I matured and I was doing it professionally and doing strictly readings, and now, like I said, I've kind of shifted into this teaching role of it. So with that, it allows me to still enjoy the tarot, and I'm still learning stuff about the cards too. Like I will pick up a deck. I like to collect the unique different decks too. I still stick to ones that are mostly like off of the Rider Waite system. So like I find decks and I'm like, oh yeah, that's not a system I know, so I'm not as drawn to them. But I like the artwork of them. I like to collect that and poke at the symbolism. So I'll pick up a deck that's something unique and I'll be like, wow, this is a great way to demonstrate the meaning of this card. I had no idea somebody could use that as symbolism instead of, the standard stuff. So I like that as well. I found a lot that are very psychological, very like they get into like dream stuff, and I'm like, this is kind of cool. So there's some neat decks out there.
Yeah, absolutely. There is, isn't there? And that's the great thing about tarot reading on there. So you use different decks for tarot.
Yes, I have a small collection. Currently I only have like a dozen. That's where I'm at right now. I have passed on some to other people. That's what I do on my YouTube channel. Is the videos are I take one card a day, and every month I pick a different deck, and we go through how this deck does represent the symbolism or does not, or if it's good for like a beginning reader, or if it's like, no, this is a cute deck, but you really got to know what you're doing to read from it. The artistry and the artists themselves, it's all super fascinating to me to go through the different artwork on them at this point.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It is a very interesting area, tarot reading and stuff. And there's lots of other areas which are similar to tarot reading. Have you ever been interested in those kind of areas? When we talk about, I don't know, maybe palm reading, there's lots of areas, isn't there?
Yeah, so like different modalities of things like that. I do Reiki. I've learned how to do that. I am certified level 2 Reiki.
Wow.
Uh, I tried palm reading. I tried runes. They're not really my thing. I think the cards just sort of talk to me,
Yeah.
and but I tell people they are just a tool. Everyone has the capacity to access that higher consciousness energy. You find the modality that works for you, and I like studying the different things. I just learned about eye reading, which is totally crazy. Like they pick apart like the shapes in your eye, and I'm like, wow, that's cool. I'd never heard of that before. So, I'm poking at that. I don't think I'm going to do eye readings or anything, but it's a neat concept. I like
Ab-
learning these things.
Absolutely. So yeah, absolutely. It's not a bad thing. Trying different areas and seeing whatever works for you. Like I said, off the air, that's something which I like doing myself, because you're trying different stuff, and then whatever clicks, whatever works for yourself, you try to do that.
Yeah,
Um,
different modalities for different people.
Absolutely. So, is there any plans to do any tarot reading in the next week or?
Next month at the end of June, I think it's June 26th. That's the last Saturday in June. I will be in Phoenix, Arizona, doing a small festival event. It's called the oh, Finding Your Journey or something Journey Expo. Purple Lotus Productions is who puts it on. So I know that, but I don't remember the name of the expo itself. I just remember Purple Lotus is who puts it on. And
Oh,
I will be doing tarot readings there. And I'm sharing the table with a friend of mine, Rochelle, who does astrology. So yeah, we're tabling together for that.
okay, fantastic. Absolutely. And yeah, yeah, absolutely. And you can obviously send the film. You can send the information to myself. I'll put it on the podcast as well for the
Okay.
viewers. So regarding the stuff, and moving on, because you've done a lot of stuff. You've tried a lot of areas, which obviously it really fascinates myself. That and you obviously you've gone into writing. So how long have you been writing?
Well, okay, as soon as I understood how words worked, I was putting pen to paper. I love stories.
Yeah,
I've been telling stories and writing stories since as long as I can remember. I love to write. I love to read. I voraciously read.
yeah,
I have another podcast with my friend Mary called Casing the Cover. And we talk about book covers and if they relate to the book and the content at all. Some of them don't, and certain trends.
yeah.
And I will read. She's like, you read like 3 books for every one that I read. I'm like, yeah, well, keep up, man. Like, so I voraciously read. I'm getting to the point where I'm voraciously writing again too. I wrote for a long time for other people. I did some ghost writing. I've
Yeah,
done a lot of editing. I have 3 of my own books out there, as well as one that's just ebook published right now and kind of in beta mode. I'm just trying to test the waters, see who wants to read it, kind of thing. But interestingly, the science fiction novel that I finished in 2019 kind of talks a little bit about tarot and how the different modalities connect us to the higher consciousness. So, yeah.
so is it short stories you've been writing, or
No, I'm currently working on another novel. It's kind of a
no?
detective noir novel.
Wow,
My first novel was a pirate adventure novel. It's a farce. I never expected it to be picked up as much as it was.
wow.
I think it's really goofy. I look back at it now and I'm like, yeah, I wrote that. I don't think I want to talk about it, but I wrote it. Um, but it's Pirates. It was published in 2007. Yeah, 2007. I published my first novel. Second one was a YA fantasy novel called Trolls, and that one came out in 2013. And then, yeah, Cloud to Cloud came out in 2019, and I published that with my friend Bob Frank, who also has a number of books out. It was a co-writing thing. I really wanted to work with him on a project. It was a lot of fun. We had so much fun writing that one.
Wow, that's interesting. That's interesting. That is. Uh, I've tried. I think I've tried writing short stories. That was a total experiment which I did because I'm more of a poetry writer. So that's probably my area. But I thought, okay, let's give it a try. Write some short stories, see how it works and stuff, and see see how that goes. Try something different on there. But yeah, novels. I'm not done novels yet on there because I was thinking of writing some more poetry. Get another book out on that, but because I don't know about that. Is it still feasible to write in paperback versions, or is it best ebooks in the US?
I usually release both. My publishers out here do paperbacks as well as doing the ebook versions. Both are usually available on Amazon. The My Gothic novel that I just finished is in ebook only format, and that's only available through me, through some beta readers that I'm reaching out to. And the one I'm currently working on, I hope to push to one of my publishers, and because he liked it in the past, but we never got it off the ground. So now I'm like repolishing it and looking at it again. I've been working on it, I think, since like 2010. So who knows what happens with that one? We'll see.
Wow.
I've done a few short story anthologies, mostly horror.
Yeah.
I'm in a lot of those. I enjoy doing horror short stories because I feel like then if people are looking for me as an author in general, they're not freaked out by, oh, she writes really gory horror novels, I don't want to get into that. I'm like, nah, I've got a pretty broad spectrum of stuff, but I do like my horror short stories. I have a lot of fun with those.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. That's a very good to try different stuff down there. Obviously, novels. There's a lot of work in novels, though.
Oh
Uh,
yeah. Oh yeah.
a lot of work, and probably takes longer to obviously write a novel than it would a short story or even a poetry or on there. But how is the market though? Because there's different markets for different genres of writing.
I
So how is the market for those kind of horror stories and stuff?
The horror stories haven't done too well with the anthologies. I mean, I guess they've done okay, but again, I did it just because I enjoy writing them. I wasn't
Yeah,
looking to like
rest of
break into the market or anything. The market I really enjoy writing in is fantasy and a little bit of sci-fi. Uh, that's kind of more where I'm happy, and I think that fantasy and sci-fi are seeing a resurgence right now. I
yeah,
also really like writing YA and like teen novels because I feel like you don't have to jam yourself into a genre. You can kind of spread out a little and be like, well, it's a little bit romance, it's a little bit sci-fi. I don't know, it's a teen novel. Enjoy. Like you're not stuck in a genre. You're not stuck in a category.
yeah, yeah, definitely, yeah. So how many books have you written so far then?
How many have I written and how many have I published are two different questions.
How many are available for the?
There are 4 paperback novels that I have out that are available, and the number that I've written, oh my gosh, I have so many manuscripts. I've been blowing the dust off of some of them. Pandemic made me go back through a whole bunch of stuff and go, well, what can I do with this one? Maybe I
Yeah,
can do something with this. I've got all this time on my hands. I can do something with this. So
absolutely.
yeah, I think if you ask any any writer, how many have they published and how many they've written, you're going to get a big difference in number.
Yeah, definitely. No, I absolutely agree with what you're saying, because the first thing should be is the purpose of what you're doing is shouldn't be essentially about you want to be earning loads of money and stuff. It should be about the passion of why you're doing it, whether you're doing writing or whether you're doing, like you said, tarot. The
Hmm.
first should be what's motivating you, and if money is the first thing, then you probably shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, I'm like, my novels are not what make the money for me. They're more like my portfolio,
Yeah.
because I've made more money writing ghostwriting for other people. There are four or five novels that I have ghostwritten, that don't have my name on them. I got a
Wow.
paycheck from it, and that was it. Uh, that's
So how does ghostwriting exactly work? Because I've always been intrigued about this. You never know. I might use yourself as a ghostwriter.
I would love that.
Yeah, but how does it exactly work? I mean, is it that you're writing for them, they're telling you the story, and you're writing for them? Is that how it works?
So there's been various ways that I've gone into it, and obviously, like, I'm not allowed to disclose which books I've done or anything like
Yeah.
that. But I will say that there's kind of been a variety of approaches to it. So one of the ways that I've done it is the person, literally, we sat down together for 8 hours a day, 4 to 5 days a week,
Wow.
and she would talk to me and I would work on the book. And another gentleman, he had a lot of the story outline done and a lot of the information for the story done, but didn't know how to really make it pretty, really, is what I did. He gave
Yeah.
me the skeleton, I put the meat on it. And I I kind of liked that, because it took for me the hard work out of the writing, because to me the hard work is creating that skeleton of the storyline, and I'm like, I don't know where they're going to go from here. But if you give me a good skeleton and all I've got to do is put the meat on it, I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll just get fancy, this is going to be fun, I don't have to think about it.
So basically, they tell you this is where the story is going exactly. This is the middle. This is the end of it, the
Hmm.
chapter and stuff, and then you obviously work from that.
Yeah, and I give it all the guts and build it out. So yeah, it varies. It just depends on what people need and their writing ability. Some people don't realize that they've got a lot more writing skill than they give themselves credit for.
Yeah.
And I coached people too. I had a woman, like, I coached her through her entire writing process. I mean, it's her book, but I really, like, kind of, like, baby steps. This is what you got to do today, and this is what you got to do tomorrow,
Right.
and work through it that way. Because some people just need that too. They just need somebody to go, hey, right, work on it. So it's good
Yeah.
stuff. Fun. I enjoy
Wow.
it.
Wow. Absolutely, that is very interesting. That's probably the other part of writing. I mean, obviously, ghostwriting is another part of writing, which is uh, because I think some writers probably either they don't know how to express the whole story in when they're writing it, so
Hmm.
they probably need someone else to just complete it and write it and put it down, put the pen to paper,
Hmm.
um, and that kind of stuff. So obviously, yeah. So I think it's probably needed more nowadays, ghostwriting, than before. Uh,
Yeah. And also, you got to figure there are people in different industries that writing is just not what they do in their industry. There are people in athletics, there are people in performance that they don't write. They do their skill set. And I got to say, I've met some really talented people who couldn't write a story if their life depended on it, but
wow.
they're brilliant in other things. And I've worked with that too. It's like, hey, I'm doing a stage production, I need more dancers, I need more stunt people. I'm going to write it, I'm going to work on it, but I these are the people I need for it. So it's when you're doing stage stuff too, you meet a lot of these people that are like, oh, you're brilliant because you can write. I'm like, you're brilliant because you can do a backflip, and that ain't happening for me, man.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, because everyone they have their own skills, they have their own strengths, what they're good at and what they're not good at, and obviously, if you've identified, okay, this is not my cup of tea,
Hmm.
I can't do this, then there's no point doing it. I mean, then you might as well get somebody else to do it, and you can tell them your story, and at the end of the day, you've still got it out, and you got it out, and you've done something which you'll be happy with.
Yeah, it's all just different people, different skills. And you mentioned poetry. I've never been really good at poetry. I've written my fair share of angsty poetry in my teens, but I dusted off a bunch of my poetry for a songwriting challenge that was back in February. Because again, during pandemic, I was like anything and everything. I'm bored. I got to do something. So I had my
Yeah,
ukulele and my harmonica, and I dusted off some old poetry and turned them into songs. I don't sing. Please don't ever ask me to sing. It will be bad for everyone involved. But
yeah, that probably includes myself as well. If I sang, I think most people would either just walk off or they would just go to sleep.
be
So
like,
I,
oh
I, I
god.
don't think they would enjoy it at all. So that's something I've always avoided singing. But so I think, yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah,
you've done a lot of stuff in writing and obviously tarot reading, but the others, and obviously just to tell the people who will obviously uh, either be watching this on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, or all the podcasting platforms out there, whether it's Podbean or Spotify or Amazon Music, whichever. When they're downloading it, that whereabouts is your book available at the moment currently?
all of my books are available on Amazon. You can look them up on there. I would use my last name, CZEP, SEEP, as the search for it. All the books will come up, and yeah, they're all there.
Absolutely. So they are. Oh, that's absolutely great for a lot of people who are interested in reading. I've not read much myself, to be honest. But yeah, it's a good thing if you can read. Then it is definitely a nice thing, and obviously it is something different to other stuff. What you do in everyday life. So how how does someone for who is a writer, a tarot reader, become a belly dancer? How It's totally different. It's not even 1% the same at all.
Well, okay, I'm gonna beg to differ with you on that one. It is all storytelling. It is all storytelling.
Okay.
Um, when you read tarot to people, you want to read it in a way that you tell them the story of what the tarot is presenting to them. You don't just say, "Well, it's this
Absolutely.
and this and this." You present it as a story.
Yeah.
Writing obviously is storytelling, and
Yeah.
dance is storytelling, and
Okay.
movement of the body. And I gotta say, the reason I got into it is because I didn't want to sit like a lump all the time. I started off and on. It was like the last couple of years that I lived in New York, I had discovered belly dance as a thing. But I grew up in a really small town, and there were no belly dancers or studios
Well,
out there. There's
yeah.
like 4,000 people in the town now. It's a little town. But so there wasn't a whole lot of that. And but when I moved out to Arizona, there was a huge community of belly dance, and I thought, well,
Wow.
let me give it a shot. Let me see what it's all about. And I found that I absolutely love it. And I guess I really should throw in the caveat. I just like dancing. I have
Yeah.
learned folk dancing, and I've done some flamenco, and I've done some swing dance, and just kind of everything. Belly dance is kind of what I always go back to. And I even when I was doing stunt work, the stunt work that I was doing with sword, and things like that. I'm like, it's a dance. You remember all of these moves. It's a dance. So dance is just, it keeps my body moving. I have reached the point where like, hey, warranty work is coming in, man. I'm in my 40s now, and it's a little harder. Like, I can still do all the dancing and I can still do some of the stunt work, but the next day I have some regrets. Like, so
Wow.
that's where I'm at right now with the dance.
So you're still doing the belly dancing? Is it?
Yes, I'm still teaching. In fact, I'll have classes. I'm just finishing a session next week, and we start a new session in June at the local community centers that I teach at over here. Things are starting to open up a little bit more, so I've started doing that. My small group of dancers, we got about 4 or 5 dancers. We've met almost throughout pandemic. We created our own little bubble of people, and we said, hey, don't show up if you're feeling sick, but otherwise, come on over, we'll dance, we'll do our thing. I have a dance studio in my home.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Wow. That's
just kept moving.
wow. That's I mean, the way you described it, because I don't know much about belly dancing, and that's the reason why I was asking that to say whether it was different or whether there was any similarities to what you've done in the past. Now, obviously, myself and obviously the people who are watching this, who will watch this, will understand more about that. It is more of a storytelling, like you said, and on the and so there's probably a lot of like writing and obviously tarot, belly dancing, like you said, it keeps you in shape as well.
Hmm.
It's something which you want to do on there. So is it classes which you do, or what is exactly what you do?
I teach classes locally. I have a dance troupe. We do performances. Obviously, we haven't done any performances during pandemic,
Yeah, absolutely.
but we travel around Arizona and we do a lot of performances. I've done a few performances back in New York, where I came from. I'll travel out there. That's really about it. I haven't done anywhere else in the country, but at the height of it, I was doing performances every single weekend, three times in a weekend at least, and I was really grinding on it. But
Wow.
again, it's like any sport, and so like any athlete, you get to a point where you can tell like you just can't push that hard anymore. You got to throttle it back. The same thing with the stunt work. When I was doing stunt work, it was a lot more often, and now I'm happier just to kind of teach and show, like, bring me some younger people who are flexible and don't hurt when they get out of bed in the morning. Like, bring me somebody who is me but like 20 years younger, me but like 10 years younger even.
I've had my COVID-19 vaccination, the first dose, and I'm still recovering from that side effects for that.
Oh yeah.
But probably if it was about 20 years ago, I think I would have recovered a bit quicker, much quicker than what I've done now. Even now, I've tried to pick up weight training today, and I couldn't pick it up on that arm. I could not pick it up, the weight.
Oh wow. Yeah, when I
Because
get
it's
I
weak. It's totally weak still. From
yeah,
the
I
side.
did the 2 shots, and that second one, man, it hit me hard.
Yeah. They
But
said I know the nurse was saying to me it's gonna you may suffer it for a week. It could be a bit more side effects and stuff. But yeah, definitely the first few days was quite there was quite a lot of pain there.
yeah,
But even
I
now
was
the
wiped
shoulder is
out.
weak. The shoulder is very weak still. Still I couldn't pick up the weight at all. I tried it today, about five reps. That's it. The sixth one, it wouldn't go up. The weight would not go.
You're like, no, I'm done. I'm
I'm
out.
done.
Tapping
I'm
out.
done. I can't do it. I can't do it. So
Yeah, although
exactly.
my son is 22, and he got the shot, the single shot, and he was on his butt, man. It wiped him out. So I don't know. Kids aren't much better with it. I
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
he was slammed, but he got the single shot. It was like a Johnson and Johnson one. He only had to get one shot, but it hit him hard. He was in rough shape. But he's fine now. He's good. He's
That's
happy.
great.
So
Wow. If you didn't say your age, I would never have figured, I would never even guess that. I would say no way. Just no way. That's
yeah,
just not.
42. He
That,
answered to life, the universe, and everything this year.
that's something which I've always got told, never ask a woman her age. And that's something I've been following since I was a small kid. But I would have never have guessed that though, to be honest. So that belly dancing has definitely been working for you.
Yes, it's belly dancing and clean living, and yeah, nothing else. Yep.
Eating the right stuff probably as well. You're probably eating the right stuff.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I have a garden out here. I wouldn't say that I am like the most healthy eater or anything like that. I eat in moderation. I tell people, eat what your body is looking for. I have no problem eating an entire cake if I'm like, it is cake day and I need cake.
Wow.
I'm like, let's do cake, man. But like I'll work it off afterwards. I'll be like, okay, come on, do some workouts now, work it off. And I'm not spindly. I think I'm a human-sized person. Okay, I say that. I'm under 5 feet tall, but I am average for my weight and my size. I am a small person.
I suppose, yeah. I mean, I'm not much taller to yourself than, to be honest. And I used to get, I used to get criticized for that when I was studying and that kind of stuff. Like, okay, that tall and whatever, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. It didn't make much difference to me, the criticism, because at the end of the day, there wasn't much those guys or anybody could do, which what I couldn't do anyway. You know what I mean? So I could do everything what they could do anyway, and I probably, and there's a lot of talented people who are about 5 foot. Whether you look at cricketers and footballers and
hmm
so many.
Yeah, I'm like, there's so many things that they you don't think about when you're a short person. You're like,
Yeah,
oh, I don't have to duck under that. I don't have to.
exactly,
But
absolutely.
just always have a step ladder nearby. That's
Yeah, exactly. There's always, there's always. I think there's more. Definitely, if you're happy with everything and whatever your height is, then I think that's definitely the main thing about yourself. If you're happy with everything, uh,
yeah.
obviously now I don't know how did the. I mean, if you can just describe since the COVID-19, how did that affect yourself?
Well, at the very beginning, I was pretty much home, like for a good couple of months straight, just home. But I was teaching a belly dance class, and we were right in the middle of it, and they said, "Nope, class is canceled. We're out."
Yeah,
The very next week, they're like, "Nope, we're out." So I contacted all my students and I said, "Hey, I have an account on Zoom and I have an account on Discord. Which video platform do you want to go on? I've got a studio in my home. I'll get some lights up, and I'll make it work." And so yeah, right away, the very next week, I was doing classes, video classes, and then I started doing a lot of virtual stuff with other people. And like I said, I sat back and wrote another novel. Like,
wow,
you just make. Oh, and a friend of mine gave me a ukulele, and I had never played the ukulele before.
wow.
So I've spent all that time learning how to play the ukulele and playing my harmonica, which I've had a harmonica since I was a little kid. I play that off and on when I'm bored. It's like,
Yeah,
so yeah, so add songwriting to the list of crazy things that I've been doing because of COVID. Now things are kind of starting to open up here, and like I said, I did an event last month. I have started doing classes again. We can't have more than like 10 people in the class,
yeah,
which is fine, and everybody's supposed to wear masks, which is fine. I have no problem with any of that. To me, it's like a nice small class in a nice big room. I can focus on people a little better. So
Yeah.
yeah, it really didn't affect me as much as it affected a lot of other people in the entertainment industry. But so I'm blessed. I came out on the other end of this really blessed because it could have gone a lot of different ways. But writing is one of those things you can do anywhere at any
Oh yeah,
time.
you can
So
definitely. Yeah, right. Writing is something you can't do on there. I mean, I suppose gone are those days where guys or women used to have a massive typewriter, one word per I don't know, God knows how long, and I don't I couldn't even. And before then, they used to obviously write with pen, and when there were no computers and stuff. And I'm not sure how they used to do it that way and write it all on paper. It was,
I still keep a paper journal. I write a lot of handwriting.
yeah,
Um, I do have a big old typewriter that I dust off every now and again when I'm feeling like I feel nostalgic today. I'm gonna use my typewriter. But yeah, mostly I'm on my laptop and everything is up on the cloud. So if I'm talking to somebody, I'm like, hey, will you check this out? What I just wrote? It's all on Google Drive. We share stuff that way. It makes it really easy. All of my clients, we shared stuff on Google Drive. I didn't really
yeah,
suffer that bad. And like I said, my house is kind of set up for everything anyway. I've got a library in my home, which is where I'm sitting right now, and I've got the dance studio in the front. So, and I got my sewing machine. I sewed masks for like everybody I knew. It's
wow,
like all the scrap fabric in my house is gone because I sewed masks for everybody. I'm like, you want this weird hippie fabric? It's really wild looking, but it's only a little piece on your face. It's fine. I got pirate fabric. It's fun. So all kinds of
yeah.
stuff.
That's a really nice thing, and yeah, absolutely. Because whenever I've seen what happened in the USA, obviously we saw, and obviously the pandemic did hit the USA pretty hard at that time. Uh,
Yeah.
it did, but obviously one needs to understand that the government was doing everything they could do, but USA is much bigger than the UK, so it's harder to control the COVID-19 as well.
Yeah.
So
And some states were much better at it than others. So you got to look at it that way too, as state by state rather than,
absolutely,
you
yeah,
know,
definitely, definitely.
but
And now the states are opening up now, as I've heard as well.
yeah, we're slowly back opening things back up. And in Arizona, things are going to shut right back down again pretty soon because summertime, everything gets locked down because it's too dang hot outside anyway.
Wow,
Yeah, I mean, we've been pretty good so far. My garden is still really happy because we've
yeah,
only had like 80, 90 degrees, but it's going to get up into the hundreds pretty soon, and then everybody's going to hide inside anyway. So
wow, that is warm. That's very warm. That is. Not sure if I could cope with that myself, to be honest. This
I
would
I
be,
don't cope with it either. I go inside with the AC and I'm done.
yeah, it's a good idea. Yeah, why not? Why not? It is. It is. I think that when you emailed me, I think I saw something on there which said you had written some plays and stuff on
Oh,
there. So yeah. So
yeah,
what kind of plays have you written?
I did a lot of stage shows. We have a big Phoenix Comic Con convention that goes on out here for
Okay.
10 years. I did stage shows. They were 45 to an hour long stage productions with stunts and dancing and music and sword fighting and just everything,
Yeah.
electric lights, machinery kind of things. For over a decade, I did that. And I've done other stage production stuff. We did a live chess match several years ago where everybody was on this giant chessboard. That was crazy. So I enjoy working with other people to do stage shows. Obviously, didn't do any in the past year.
Yeah.
Uh, And the last one that we really did was more dance focused, and that was down in Tucson, Arizona. It's a few-hour drive south towards the border with Mexico, and we had a good time doing that. It was their mermaid festival, so we had very mermaid kind of thing going on. But that was the last big stage show that I've done. I've written other plays for other things that other people have produced and done. I enjoy
Yeah,
directing, but it's super stressful. It's like
absolutely.
telling characters to do things on paper and telling real life humans to do things is very different.
But with theatre, theatre is something which I've not followed much myself. But obviously, what I've heard is, and what I've seen, that theatre obviously there's no retake, so you have to do everything right on the first take. Now,
Yeah.
if you make a mistake, then what how exactly happens? How do you rectify it then? Live,
So hopefully all the mistakes are made in rehearsals.
right,
Um, but what I tell my dancers, and I've told performers as well, is if you make a mistake, just keep moving.
right.
Can't go
Okay,
back and change it. You can't fix it. Just
definitely.
keep moving forward. Smile and push through. Uh, I I tend to have people who I know work really well together and can kind of just give each other the eyeball of like, don't do that, you know. But I also tell my dancers, I go, don't make the face. Don't make the face. And they know exactly what I'm talking about. It's that like deer caught in headlights sort of look on your face when you screw up. I'm like, just smile, smile and own it. The
Yeah,
best compliment I ever got with my dance stuff was very early on. I was in another dance troupe, and I was like the baby dancer in the dance troupe. I didn't know what the heck I was doing, but I smiled through it and I got through all the dances, and I'm sure I screwed up like 100 times. And a couple of my friends that were in the audience came up to me and they're like, how is it that you remembered like all of those dances? And everybody else at least had a few moments where they were totally confused. And I'm like, yeah, they were confused because I was going the wrong way. Um, but I smiled through it and sold it well. And I was like, yep, this is just the way I'm supposed to go now. That's the way we're doing. So yeah, I think the best advice I could give to anybody who does stage stuff is smile, own it, be in that moment, because you're not going to fix it and you're only going to make it worse if you draw attention to it. So, push.
yeah, definitely. I mean, there's not much one can do because obviously theatre, there's no, like you said, there's no obviously you can't fix it, so you might as well make it look like there's nothing wrong anywhere and just
Yeah, just
carry on doing that uh, on there. Now so basically you've covered from writing to theatre to tarot to belly dancing. So you covered like basically four areas in the entertainment sector where a lot of people don't they may just touch one area. So that is amazing in itself. Four different areas on there. Is there any plans to go about television or drama? Any plans to write in that area?
um, the Cloud to Cloud, which is my most recent novel, or the science fiction novel that I wrote, that one has been poked at for a TV series. They haven't
Wow,
picked it up yet, but I'm hopeful. I would like to see it as a TV series. It'd be really cool. We
absolutely.
got a rejection just last week from one of the companies that said, no, not what we're looking at right now. But they looked at it for a long time. They had it for a good couple months. So I was like,
Yeah,
oh, well, you looked at it. That's something. My son has actually been in a couple of movies
yeah.
as an
Wow.
extra. He likes to do extra, like behind the scenes stuff, background things. Um, I can't remember the name of the film. That's a science fiction film, but I'll try to send it to you because
Yeah.
I haven't even seen the whole thing through yet. I want to sit down and watch it with him. He's an extra in that. I have a lot of friends who are extras in movies, and I think I would like to be an extra in a movie, but probably not like really on-screen time stuff. That requires way more effort than I'm willing to put in, I think. So
Yeah, that's something which I wanted to do a long time back as well, become an extra and stuff. But I don't think I there was a couple of stuff, but it just work was not giving me the time off, and there was some clashes there with that. Yeah, but yeah, definitely, since that's not a bad thing to do, working as an extra. But yeah, so hopefully your book does get picked up for a TV thing. That would be absolutely, like you said, it would be a very very good thing. That because a lot of, as we can see in the television area, there's a lot of books which are becoming films now. There's a lot of TV films which are inspired from books as well.
mhm.
We see a lot of TV films which are written, which are coming from books, and there's a lot of dramas as well which have been inspired by books as well, novels and stuff. So there is a lot of that as well. So there is more scope in that happening. Uh, Definitely in that. So if we go back to the podcast, how long have you been podcasting for?
Let's see. The first podcast that I did was called I think it was just the Brick Cave podcast or Brick Cave Books podcast. And
Right.
that was back in the early, let's see, I think it was like 2009 to like 2012. I did that one roundabout in there. That went for about 3 years. The one I'm currently doing with my co-host Mary is called Casing the Cover.
Right.
And we talk about books. We kind of pick a book cover and we discuss the weirdness of this book cover. We love weird book covers. If you find weird book covers for us, anybody out there watching, please send them to me. I love weird book covers. And then we read the book and we review the book, not so much on the content, but in the way of like, does this really go with the cover? Did the cover sell me on this story, or was this a total lie and I was sold a total falsehood and it got me to buy this book, but the book is nothing like what this cover has to do with anything. Also weird trends that happen in book covers. We love mystery novel book covers and romance novels because the puns are fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Casing the Cover, we've been going, this is our third season for Casing the Cover podcast. It is audio only, so this is a little weird for me to do video. I'm like, oh, okay, I can do video, sure. Like I didn't do my hair today, but we're good.
So where is the podcast available on? Just for everyone to know. Obviously, we will be obviously partnering. So we will obviously display where your podcast is on a regular basis on the episodes. So it will be displayed on here, the links and information. But so obviously today is not at the moment. So where is it available if somebody wants to download the episodes?
You can go on YouTube. We are Casing the Cover on YouTube. Also, you can find it on Stitcher and Apple Podcasts.
Yeah.
All kinds of, pretty much most places you can get podcasts. I think we're on there. We are not on Pandora. Pandora is really hard to get onto as a podcast. But other than that, we're pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, Pandora. Yeah, I've heard of the Pandora. I think I did try to get on there myself.
Yeah,
I don't think it's worked.
very picky.
I
Yeah,
don't think
they're very picky.
it's not worked. To be honest, I think myself as well.
No.
Yeah, it is very tricky on there, to be honest. But yeah, so you have like you said. So on the podcast, is it like on the YouTube channel? Is that dedicated to the podcast? Is it like a YouTube channel for the podcast?
Yes, Casing the Cover has its own YouTube channel. I also have my own YouTube channel, which it's I'll send you the link, but it's Esal is the YouTube channel, so EASALLE, and I do all my. You'll find on there all my tarot stuff. There's belly dance videos. There's some podcast stuff from my old podcasts. I think I link to both Casing the Cover and the Dread Fleet, which is the pirate group that I do all the sword fighting and stunt fighting with. So
Yeah.
I do. So all that stuff's linked on my YouTube channel as well. So.
All right. Okay. Is there any particular days you do the podcast? Is there any set days, or is it just whenever you have time to?
We release one Tuesday a month. We were releasing 2 Tuesdays a month, but the pandemic slowed us down a little bit. It was hard for us to get together and record. So we are down to 1 Tuesday a month. It is usually the second Tuesday of the month. So you can find a new podcast then.
So 1 Tuesday per month is available and on there. So is this live? Is it live or is it
No, it's all pre-recorded. We pre-record everything.
pre-recorded? Yeah. Okay. So everyone. So if you want to tune in on there, but like I said, obviously we will have details of the podcast on the next episodes of this. We will be obviously live tomorrow with Sophia, who's a book author. That's 3 p.m. UK time and 4 p.m. in Sweden, where she is. So that's tomorrow live on here on YouTube and Twitter and Facebook all simultaneously. So yeah, so on there, and we have gone for over an hour as well. But sometimes that happens with some on my interviews. To be honest, whatever it depends. Some of them have been like about 40 minutes exactly, but some have gone over an hour. But I think it's got to do with how much you're going to talk about, I guess, and what you're going to cover on there. So when it is all not written, I think you can cover more stuff than if it's written. Then it's maybe it's just some of the stuff is coming out and some of the stuff is what I mean. You think you covered everything, you may not covered it.
Yeah. Well, I hope we kept everyone entertained for an hour at least.
Yeah, exactly, absolutely. I have seen a few people who have viewed it on Facebook.
Oh, good.
They have some have viewed it live on Facebook, and I'm not sure about Twitter or YouTube. Like I said, YouTube is a bit tricky at the moment, but hopefully soon there will be more YouTubers watching it live on Twitter. We will post it, we'll retweet it, and add another tweet on Twitter as well. Can people find you on Twitter? Are you on Twitter?
I am actually not on Twitter. I have a Twitter account. I don't look at it. I mean, there's probably cobwebs all over that thing. I can't. I'm not on there. I am very rarely on Facebook right now. I've been so focused on other things that social media just hasn't drawn me because, again, when I'm not having to publicize events and classes and things, I don't see a reason to be on there. I'm so busy creating stuff. But YouTube, I have been on a lot, creating content with tarot and with dance and a little bit of my ukulele playing. You can laugh at that. Keep in mind, I've only been playing for about a year, so it's not the best, but I've been having a lot of fun with it. And it relieves the stress because I know I'm never going to go on stage with ukulele. I'm just going to play it and be a dork. And so it's okay.
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay. So you've wow. So yeah, absolutely. Like I was saying, you covered so much stuff. I think we've covered a lot of stuff which you've told me via email. What you've been doing over so many years and stuff. And so you've got a lot of stuff planning ahead, like you're saying via the tarot stuff which you're doing, and via the are you doing tarot face-to-face readings now?
At the events, and I've had 1 or 2 face-to-face readings, but they're with people that I'm very close with, and I would see them anyway. So I haven't started doing face to face in house again.
Yeah,
Probably another couple months before that happens. Like I said, I'm fully vaccinated. I'm good, but baby steps, a little bit at a time.
exactly. Absolutely. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. It probably is best to just be safer on the and so regarding the what is what is the highlight for yourself regarding the writing, especially when it comes to writing is concerned. Is there any book which is standing out more than any other book?
Um, I really like the big book that I'm pushing right now is Cloud to Cloud, which is the science fiction novel that I worked on with Bob Frank. Um, that's the
Yeah,
one. It's like because it didn't get a debut. All my other books, it got a debut because they were at Comic-Con or at other events, whereas this one came out in December of 2019, and the first event that I was supposed to release it at was canceled in that March.
yeah.
So it didn't get out there. So I would like to really tell people, if you're interested in any of the books, check out Cloud to Cloud, because that's the one that didn't, the poor baby didn't get a birthday. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. I mean, speaking of birthdays, I think a lot of people are having very, very quiet birthdays, are they really now, due to what's
yeah,
happening? Just kind of
yeah.
staying at home and stuff, and a lot of people are obviously working from home still. Uh, Obviously, similar to myself. But yeah, but I guess it's best to be safe for your families and everybody else. On there. So yeah, so we won't obviously carry on for too long because obviously we don't want to get anybody more bored. We're like, okay, this is gonna be too long. But yeah, I think we covered everything else. Like I said, we will obviously include uh, stuff regarding your podcast, obviously, on the Talent Spotlight podcast, obviously, in the forthcoming episodes, stuff, and obviously what's happening with the podcast and other stuff as well. So, yeah, that's absolutely been great regarding that. And do you, regarding the podcast, do you have any official handlers for the podcast? Any official Facebook page?
Everything is Casing the Cover or Casing the Cover Pod. So Mary kind of handles the podcast stuff. I feel bad, but I'm like, I read the books and I do a lot of stuff on there, but she handles the social media side. So it's either Casing the Cover or Casing the Cover Pod. Either one of those, you'll find us on Twitter, Facebook. I think we're on Instagram. We're everywhere with that. So yeah.
So they can, so everyone can find you on there, whether depending on what they find on the. Personally, I've been more on Twitter than Facebook. I'll be honest, but
Really?
because but Twitter, I don't know. I think the thing about Twitter is there's one plus point of Twitter than Facebook. This is not saying nothing bad about Facebook, but the good thing about Twitter, I think, over Facebook is there's a set limit of what you can do on when it comes to characters on Twitter. So at least you know exactly what you're putting on Twitter because there's maximum you can't put more than this. So you I think you can organize your tweets much better than you can do when you're putting a Facebook post because there's no maximum, there's nothing like that. You can just put whatever. So that I think makes it not that comfortable for me and Twitter. So Twitter makes it a bit easier due to that. I think for myself, but I think whatever works for everyone. But obviously, it's good to be on all social media for podcasts and obviously like what you're doing people can then find you and get in touch with yourself. So if somebody wants to get in touch with you and they're a writer, how do they do it?
I you can find me on Facebook. I'm not on there super often, but JJM Seep on Facebook. YouTube channel is EASALLE, so it's ESAL. And my, let's see, where else have I got? I think that's kind of it right now. But on Amazon, I've got all my books on there, and you can definitely always check out. I do have a website where you can order stuff off of. It's Jen-Seep. It's a Square site, and you should be able to just put in Jen with 2 N's underscore Seep, and it'll come up. But I'll send you the link to that too, so you can put it on there. So I do have a website, but otherwise, yeah, just YouTube is a good one.
Absolutely, YouTube is a massive area, and definitely you need to have a YouTube channel, and people can watch the videos and everything on YouTube. So that's definitely on there. So, like I was saying, guys, on there. So our special guest today is Jen. It? I think I pronounced it wrong, so I'll just.
It's okay, it happens all the time. It's Seep.
It was on there, but like I said, it is. I have put it on the streaming. Um, it, so a special guest today is Jen, author. Like I said, author, tarot reader, belly dancer, and writer, and so much more. Thank you very much for being on the Talent Spotlight podcast and being a guest today and sharing. Your work and what you've done, which is absolutely, I'm sure, will be inspirational to a lot of people, a lot of women out there who want to, go into writing or go into any of those areas which you have gone into on there. So thank you very much for being on the podcast. We will obviously talk a little bit off the air. So thank you very much for being on the Talent Spotlight podcast today, Jen.
Hey, thank you.